I know that you took the assessment that I created for GetDateable.
Goddamn right, I took it and I aced it.
Yeah.
No, why are you laughing? I aced that shit. So
yeah,
that's why being honest is important.
Yeah, being honest and being kind. Like you said, remembering to keep saying the positive things, because if you're doing that from a place of like genuineness, it makes your life better. Like you're making your partner's life better, but your life's better too, because now you got a happy partner.
Damn right. And she's more willing to have sex with you if you treat her well. Because right when respect gets out the door, well, most girls are not gonna have sex with a guy she doesn't respect, no matter if it's the first date or in a relationship. So if you start disrespecting her, treating her bad, well, don't expect for her to cuddle you after, bro. You fucking scrapped it. So
yeah, she's not going to be attracted to you. There's like a stereotypical saying, but it's that nature played a cruel joke on us, and that women need to feel connected before they want to have sex, and men want to have sex in order to feel connected.
Yeah.
And so it's like keeping that in mind, that if you're going to not treat your partner well, then she's not going to feel connected to you, and then she's going to be less likely to want to have sex.
So welcome back on a Rumbling Facts podcast, the place where we challenge the norm, expose uncomfortable truth, and spark conversations that fucking matter. Today, we're diving into the messy and beautiful and downright wild world of relationships, dating, and online dating and intimacy. If you're tired of swiping endless on dating apps or struggling to find a real connection, this episode, people, is for you. And while we're here, check out my music, DJ Red Sam, on all platforms is DJ with Master Upside Down. And I do thought-provoking music as well, so go check that out, people. Our guest today is a true powerhouse in the realm of relationships, communication, and personal growth. Meet Dr. Sarah Kyle, a therapist with over 25 years of experience in clinical sexology and a brilliant mind behind a website for dating, GetDateable, a revolutionary new business that transforming the ways single people find love and escape the brutality of online dating. With her deep expertise in communication, intimacy, and sexuality, Dr. Kyle has empowered countless individuals to leveling up their relationships and build a healthier connections. Beyond her professional work, she's an inspiring entrepreneur, successfully launched a game-changing business at 57 while growing her therapy practice to over $200,000, working just 3 days a week. Today, she's here to share her valuable insights. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah. How are you doing?
Thanks so much. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you. Let's start off by what gave you the idea to create this site, and how did your background come into play in the building of this?
That's a great question. I've been a therapist in private practice for about 25 years. And increasingly over the years, my clients have come in becoming more and more dissatisfied with the dating process. I think as that has shifted to being almost exclusively online, people have just gotten so unhappy with it. And I've had these amazing clients in my office, people that are super successful in every area of their life, and they're sitting on my couch crying because they're just having such a struggle meeting people in this online realm.
This online realm is so incredible. Like when I went to see the stats of this, and like most websites, girls only like 10% of the man, and men are like 80% of them, because we're so nonchalant. And girls, I find in my studies, girls look at a profile to disqualify the man because she's looking for the best dude, not multiple dudes. And a guy looks at a profile to qualify her to get that date, to see that person.
Yes.
So we so look at the other sex completely different. What are some of the most common relationship challenges you think people face, and how can they overcome it, you think?
So once they're in a relationship or when they're trying to find one?
When they're in a relationship.
So the two most common issues that couples bring to therapy are sex and money. Those
Mm,
seem to be the things that people disagree about, and at the root of both of those problems is communication. That
yep.
they haven't learned how to communicate well with each other, and so they end up getting in fights about those two issues in particular.
Me, that's it. I realize that communication is the problem with most relationships. I can go in a restaurant and just look at couples that are across tables, and I don't even need to hear what the fuck they say. And I can tell anybody that, oh, that person's lying to that person's not being on. And I don't even know what they're saying. It just shows in body language, the way they don't really, you need to be transparent in that communication, how you feel of everything. But most people are not going to are not going to do that in scared of losing that person or hurting that person, I think.
Yep, I think that's true. It's one of the reasons that people don't speak up and say their truth, or they go to the extreme of saying something that's untrue, lying, because they're
Hmm.
afraid of disconnection.
And I think most guys, like, they realize that most girls don't find them attractive. So what they do, they inflate the person they are. So you're literally, it's called, for guys, it's called selling the dream. So you're gonna tell her what needs to be said. So, oh
Yep.
yes, you make this much money, or you're this accomplished, oh yeah. And actually, after a couple of months, the girl realizes that that's not really the person that she's falling for.
It never ends well.
Oh no, never. What are 5 red flags to watch out for when we starting to date somebody?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. So I would say the biggest red flag is the thing that you just said, is looking for inauthenticity.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll give you an example. I have a client that I worked with recently who met it's a woman who met a guy online, and in his profile he said that he was 6 feet tall. And when she met him, he's obviously not 6 feet tall. He's 5'10". And this was such a good lesson, because she said when she met him, she thought he was a really nice guy, and it didn't really matter that he was 5'10". But she also said if he had said that in his profile, she would not
It would have
have gone on a date
eliminated
with
him.
him. And
Exactly.
so it's sort of like this vicious cycle that guys are lying because it actually is the thing that gets them the date. But it turned out that that guy was not a super honest person, and that relationship ended up not working out. And
So it
she had that
wasn't only
information
the
right up
height.
front. Yep.
Oh
Yep.
my.
She had the information right up front. So I would say looking for ways that the person is not being true to themselves or not being authentic right up front. That's a huge red flag. Some of the other things are inability to communicate. So if you get mad at someone, like, it's okay. All
Hmm.
feelings are okay. All behaviors are not okay. So if someone has a negative feeling and they express it to you directly, like, that's a green flag. If someone pretends to not be mad about something, but then they behave in a passive aggressive way, I think that's one of the red flags.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people, like, let's say they're in a relationship with somebody and that girl goes to the club every week out of nowhere. Well, if you have a problem with that, fucking say it. Because if you don't, well, you're just constructing, like, it's like the Santa bag. You're just putting your stuff there in that bag, and it keeps getting bigger, people, bigger, bigger. And out of nowhere, you're not going to see that person you love as the person you love. You're going to see them as an anchor, because you're pulling all this crap for been a while. Me, I'm somebody that lives under a no filter, and I say what I think and feel at all times. And a lot of people are like, "Damn, that was cold." Yeah, but I'm not lying. It's like I'm not somebody that has a mask like most people we meet. There, it's I say you don't meet them. You meet a representative of themselves. Somebody just inflated.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And what I tell people is you want to, of course, put your best foot forward, but you want to make sure it's your foot. So, for example, you don't go buy an outfit that you think the person's going to like. You go in your closet and you wear the thing that you already own that you feel the best in.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are taking care with how you present yourself, but you're presenting yourself in an authentic way.
I think the problem with girls for being authentic is because I think they're too scared of showing their personality. That's what I realize. A lot of girls are so reserved of because of trauma or old boyfriends that told them they were stupid or whatever. And most girls like are so just don't hesitate to say something that she thinks of a joke because we're watching a movie, but she won't say it because she's like, oh, maybe he's gonna think I'm stupid. And it's like.
Yep.
But actually, most guys are going to find it very attractive, a girl showing off her personality. I think it's a big misconception that girls stop themselves from being authentic. And guys,
Yeah.
it's because they lie to be that rare guy. And for that height thing, that's the problem. A lot of girls are going to eliminate that guy before talking to him. So
Right.
that's why on that profile they lie for that 6 feet because that's the marker of most girls are
That's the
going to aim
marker.
for. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that someone's height has absolutely no bearing in whether they're going to be a good partner or not.
Exactly.
No bearing.
But it's because they're still in the biological sense since the beginning of time. You're looking for this guy that's stronger, smarter, leads you. And that's why I like guys that are, example, 6'7" and an athlete there, and he's just walking on the street. Out of nowhere, he gets this celebrity look because the girls are gonna walk up to him. Like girls don't walk up to guys actually, but when they see a guy that's 6'7" in shape, they're like, "Man, this guy can bring money." They don't think that initially, but they're attracted to it right away. It's crazy. So because of that, most girls are just gonna eliminate anybody that's under this height. It's incredible. Because, like you said, it could be your best friend. Maybe it could be a new coworker one day, but you won't know because you didn't even take the time to talk to them. What do you think? Why do you think ghosting has become so common on both sides? And how should people handle it? Like after there, but why do you think people ghost? And for guys and girls, because it's probably different.
Yeah. Ghosting is one of my pet peeves. It is one of the things that makes my head explode. I think people do it because they don't know how to communicate, because we don't get taught in our culture specifically, we don't get taught how to deal with negative or difficult conversations. If we have a conflict, we do one of two things. We either sweep it under the rug and pretend like it never happened, or we cut the person off and we don't talk to them about it. We don't learn how to have a conversation and talk our way through it. And so it's easier to just never speak to the person again. And it's such a disservice because it gives if you don't ghost, it gives you practice speaking up about what's important to you, which is such a good communication skill to have in a relationship once you do find your person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it does a disservice to the other person because they don't know what they did wrong. And so often it's a miscommunication, like that they, this guy drank too much on our first date, and so I didn't want to see him again. Well, tell that guy, because he doesn't know that that's going to lose him every date from here forward. So give him the courtesy of telling him what he did wrong. So yeah, I think people do it because they would rather just disappear than have an uncomfortable conversation. And I think it happens because people just lack that skill.
I think one of the reasons it's because let's say a guy is writing to multiple girls at one time, and there's one that shows like more sexuality that probably he's gonna get that day of. Well, often the guy's gonna cancel the girl that he wasn't sure and is gonna go for the other one without telling the other what really happened. And for girls, I realized that it's because most girls don't want to be sluts. Most girls don't want to sleep with multiple guys. So, for example, let's say you're talking to a guy, he's quite nice and everything, and he sets you up for a date on a Thursday, and it's Tuesday. And out of nowhere, that Tuesday night, you get ridden by somebody else that seems as nice, but you look at his profile, wow, this guy really fits with you to the highest degree. Well, out of nowhere, you're canceling this other guy by ghosting him straight up because you don't want to hurt the feelings of anybody. Like most girls are so aware of the feelings of an impact of a word that somebody can say. So I think that's the reason why they ghost, because they don't want to meet those two guys. A guy, if he sets up two dates at two different dates, normally we're gonna see both of them, give the shot
on both of them.
But the girl's gonna, if let's say she has two dates and the first date is incredible and perfect, that next guy is not getting a date.
She doesn't need to go on the second date.
That's it, because she's looking for the best, and in her heart at that moment, that guy fills most of the boxes for her. For couples that have like different sex drives, because like you said, that is very common. A lot of my friends have a girlfriend and they have less sex than me, and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, you should be fucking at least once each 2 days. I don't get it. How can these relationship like give? Does somebody in the relationship have to give in to the other?
Yeah, another really good question. So I did tell you that sex and money are the two most common issues that couples bring to therapy. Within the realm of sexuality, mixed drive, so one person wanting more sex than the other, is the most common sexual issue that people bring. And what I will say is that sex is different for men than for women, because the way we get socialized, you just made a comment about, I think most girls don't want to be sluts. Well, the fact that we use that word still, like sluts, is that's.
I'm a rapper.
Right?
Tell yourself that it wasn't discriminating.
It's okay. I mean, I'm not offended by it. I do think, though, we don't describe men in those same terms. Like, if a guy gets laid a lot, we're proud of him. You know,
yeah, because we're like, how did he manage that?
Exactly. But we don't view women in that same light. And so sex for women typically has been a source of shame. Like, if you think about when you were younger, well, I don't know how old you are, so it might have been generationally different by the time you were in high school. But like, when I was in high school, when girls had sex, they didn't admit it. And when guys had sex, they told everyone, because girls were shamed about it and guys were put on a pedestal about it. So if you come into it with that framework, and then thinking even about the act of sex, and I don't know, it seems like your podcast, you're fine with getting into the nitty-gritty of things, so we can edit this out if you want. But what I would say is, for guys are the insertive partner. So like, you're inserting your penis into someone when you have sex. Women are the receptive partner. So something is being inserted into a woman's body, and there's such vulnerability in that. That doesn't exist for men. So I think, like, culturally, we're taught that sex is something shameful. And then I think the biological act of sex tends to be more vulnerable for women. And so I think it just gets viewed a little bit differently. So because of that, what I would say, I tell women clients this too, that saying yes to sex, first of all, as a guy, if you don't feel sexual, you can't really have sex, because you're not going to get hard, and you can't have sex, right? When women don't feel sexual, guess what? They've got lube. Like, women can have sex anyway. And so what happens is, guys can't really have sex against their will, per se. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to that, of course. But let's just say, in a traditional heterosexual relationship, a guy cannot be forced to have sex against his will, and a woman can. And so I tell women that saying yes to sex when you don't want to say yes is really too big a sacrifice, because you end up feeling terrible about yourself. So the idea is creating a relationship that is supportive and kind and warm, so that you want to have sex with your partner. And if you don't want to, that you talk through it. And I will also say that probably 40% of the time, 35 to 40% of the time, in a heterosexual relationship, the man is the one that wants less sex, which is a surprising fact.
I'm surprised on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that we think often of, like, oh, the woman's got a headache and she doesn't want to have sex, but a lot of times the woman's like begging her husband to have sex and he doesn't want to.
And I think what you were saying before, why they praise a guy and they shame a girl, it's because anything that comes easy in life, well, people don't respect it. So you could weigh 300 pounds as a girl and get on these dating sites, and you could land 3 dates a day forever. And it's simple like that. And you could be a top tier man and have trouble doing 1 date a day.
Can you say more about that theory?
Yeah. There's studies that show that a guy that's a visual of a 9 and a millionaire on Instagram is going to get 60 times less matches and less messages than a 200 pound girl that's a a 6 visually. It's completely different. And us, when we have sex, it's literally like a handshake. It's literally it's nothing. It's just bing bang. We just shake your hand.
It's like a biological act.
Yeah. And for a girl, it's so personal and private. And like, am I gonna let this person like enter me? How much more us? We have no remorse for it, because I had somebody on, and she was addicted to meth for years, and she used her body to get what she wanted. And I was like, well, if us men, we would have for sure, because we got no attachment to that at the start. She went through a lot to have no feelings for that body, but us, it's like that initially. It's so not the same thing. That's why I would recommend to a guy to at least have sex with at least 25 to 50 girls. And the reason for that, because I think the biggest error of most dudes is they're going to mix up love and sex. So you're going to fall in love there with a girl, and you're going to think this is the best that you can get. And 3 years in, out of nowhere, you got this weird message from this girl that's gorgeous to death. And out of nowhere, you're re-questioning all the love that you have for this one to maybe go for somebody more beautiful. But at a certain point of seeing different girls, well, that is broken. There's no girl that looks that good that you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna destroy somebody that brings me value everywhere just for that. No, not at all. We separate the two. And I think the difference with the females that I saw studies on this is after 7 partners, most female are going to start detaching from sex. The importance of sleeping with someone is going to start becoming less and less important. And I think that's why there's such a huge difference. And when we see a guy that had like 100, we're never like, oh, this guy's disgusting. We're like, how the fuck did he do that? We know that it's very complicated for most dudes. So it's like the candy store analogy.
So I want you guys to imagine that there's a candy store. Okay. The women are allowed into this candy store at 18 years old. Okay. They get to go in, enjoy the candy, check out the different aisles. You've been there for a few years now. You figure out that purple Starbursts are strange. You figure out that Tootsie Rolls are disgusting. Pink Starbursts are good. Yellow Starbursts are gross. M&Ms are weird. You start to think gummy bears are cool on some days. Some days they're not. You stay out of this aisle. You go to this aisle, whatever it may be. And at some point, you start to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And when you start kind of hang out in certain aisles, right? The men, however, are not allowed to go into the candy store until they're 35 years old, been going to the gym for 5 years, and have $100,000 saved up, right? Mm-hmm. So you're in there. You're having a great time, 18 years old. About 17 years passes by or some shit?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, just fucking literally bang, right? The dudes are allowed into the candy store, all right?
Going crazy.
Only a few of them, though, because a lot of them didn't qualify. So the guys are allowed into the candy store finally, right? But there's only a couple guys that are allowed in. But there's a huge line wrapped around the candy store for the other guys to get in. So they're seeing these guys come in, and they're cheering them on. Yeah, you guys made it in, blah, blah, blah. So these guys that made it in, they're going crazy. They're eating pieces of candy that you threw away 10 years ago. They're hanging off the rafters. They're swinging around. They're going nuts. They're jumping in the aisles. They're swimming, fucking doing snow angels with the cotton candy. Like all this crazy shit in the candy store, fucking it up. And all of you are like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, have you never seen candy before? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? And the guy stops and says, how the fuck are you going to tell me how many pieces of candy I can eat when I had to bust my ass to get in this candy store?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my answer is, how are you going to tell a man how many pieces of candy he can eat when you guys got into the candy store for free?
Did you ever hear that? The candy store analogy? It's girls been in that candy store since you're 18. Since you're 18, you have abundance of everybody. Like, oh, you want to taste this candy? You want to taste? And most guys in their life, they're never going to get in that candy store. And they're all outside like fucking idiots looking in. Oh, and out of nowhere, one day, they see this guy open the door and go in and like, oh my God, go ahead, bro, do it. Because no guy gets to abundance. And if you do as a man, well, we're praising you right away because we know that most guys in your whole life, you're never going to feel that feeling of abundance. And mostly every girl at 18, if you don't look like a fucking animal. Well, you're gonna have this feeling of abundance that you could choose who you want, and so most guys be cherished for that, because it's very, very complicated to get it.
Yeah.
And a girl, I seen girls like that weigh a fucking 300 something and land 2-3 dudes in a day, and the dudes are 6 feet, skinny, they got a job. It's like our margin of we're not gonna sleep with you. You need to be bad for most dudes. It's impressive how much nonchalant. I think that's what creates the whole difference. What do you think about that?
Well, I want to go back to a statistic that you referred to earlier, and that is that 10% of the guys are getting 90% of the dates.
Yep.
And yeah, and if you're not in that top tier, I mean, I think those 10% of the guys are the ones that are, living it up in the candy store.
Yeah, we're racking it up.
And then the other 90%, and that's a high percentage. 90% of guys are struggling to get dates. Yeah.
I saw on the dating sites stats that 82% of men are not attractive for most girls. So if you're not attractive, it's like you literally need to almost lie to create this profile that looks even better. What are some of the key qualities or habits that make somebody truly dateable, you think?
Oh, yeah. Good question. Well, I know that you took the assessment that I created for GetDateable.
Goddamn right. I took it and I aced it.
Yeah.
No, why are you laughing? I aced that shit.
I love it.
Sadly, I knew in advance I would ace it, but go ahead.
How did you know in advance you would ace it?
I started helping guys with dating 5 years ago, because I realized that most guys have a lot of problems. I was seeing that all my life, but not understanding the reasons. So that's why it got me into psychology, reading body language, understanding the dynamics between the sex, understanding the female mind and nature. So because of all that, after that, it attached every pattern that I saw before. And now it really completed game that we call a game, like knowing and understanding and how to talk. So because of that, I was like, I'm technically rare somewhere. And because of that, I was like, and like you said, most guys don't get nothing. And I'm probably in that 10% racking them up. So I'm not bragging. I am just saying. And I see it all the time that most guys are rushing just to have one date. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, I believe you. And I think that your scores on the assessment are reflective of that. That's probably why you're in the top 10%, because the way that I created the assessment, it was twofold. One, I interviewed a lot of single people and did research with a lot of single people about what they were looking for in a partner. And I also did research with therapists and other mental health providers, and said, like, what do you see as the markers of someone who has good mental health, and what are the markers of people who have successful relationships? And so through a combination of those two things, I created this assessment and really kind of honed in on all of the categories that people find important. And sometimes people are surprised. So when they take the assessment, like, just a random question would be, do you get regular medical and dental checkups? And people are like, why? Why does that matter? It's like, yeah, because people want a partner who takes care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And, maybe your teeth look okay right now, but if you don't go to the dentist, then they're going to be rotten by the time you're 40. And, nobody wants that. So, or things like,
is your apartment clean?
Yeah, like that was something I was going to say. I had a client in GetDateable who is an adult man, and said, yeah, like, no, his apartment, he's got piles of stuff everywhere. He's got dust bunnies all over the place because he doesn't vacuum or sweep, and he leaves his dirty clothes and shoes on the floor, and he's getting no dates. And I'm like, what? If you imagine the woman of your dreams, like, get a visual of her right now, what would she say if she walked into your place and saw it? And he was like, oh, like he didn't think about that. Like, when's the last time you cleaned your bathroom? These things are things people don't think of. And literally, I know women who have said, gosh, this guy seemed great. And as soon as I saw his place, I was like, no, this will never work.
Mm-hmm. I tell guys, the girls just try to disqualify you the whole date, bro. So anything you say will be used against you, people.
And will be used against you.
Yes, and your apartment is a reflection of yourself to the highest degree. It's okay to be busy and don't have time for it, but I already saw girls that are gorgeous to death, and when I arrived at their place, I saw it was fucking so nasty, and I'm unfiltered, and out of nowhere, when I went to the bathroom there, that's when I was like, okay, I can't just say nothing. And I swear to God on this story, people, I piss sitting down because you don't do damage like that to clean there. So,
so man, I like it.
I'm pissing and I'm looking at the bathroom. I'm like, what the fuck is this? There was full of medicine pills thingy in the sink. Literally, there was a toothbrush in it, so the person just leaves it there. And then after I finished peeing, I look at the bath, and I'm telling you, the bath was so bad, fucking nasty. And I cleaned houses before, and I know how to put a house perfect, and this is unacceptable. This is not like something you can't clean. It's cleanable. And I got out of the bathroom, and I looked at her. I'm like, tell me please that you're not washing your daughter in that fucking bath. She's like, yeah, why? I'm like, I would even wash my fucking dog in that. Like, I would buy a bat. I would buy a back in plastic because I'm too lazy to clean the tub and literally put it in it to wash my child in it. She's like, no guy ever told me that. Yeah, because most guys are not going to say shit because they want to fuck you. Me, honestly, I'm not a desperate little dog, so I'm going to tell you exactly what's up. And that is some fucked up shit. I'm telling you, you should not be cleaning your daughter that. She could get an infection or literally it's not good for you. How can you feel clean in that shit? And it changed the view of that person. I know her. She looked like a 9, but she was a 6 to me right there. I was like, ugh.
It makes a big difference, right? And so one of the other things that I think, one of the other categories of the assessment is confidence. And that's something that you exude right off the bat. And that's something that women are attracted to, or people in general, men and women are attracted to confidence. And so, and it can't be, that's a different thing than cockiness.
Yeah.
Or having a big ego or being narcissistic or self-centered. It's just knowing that you're okay and you get to speak up about the things that are important to you because you feel good about yourself. So that's another huge thing.
And were you surprised of my score?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, I had never met you before, so I didn't know. But yeah.
Fucking melting here, people. Goddamn. Mia, I was like, might as well test it out and see where we land on the spectrum.
Yeah. Was there anything about it that surprised you?
Mia, like it says 7 minutes to do these tests, but I'm OCD, so it took 15 for sure. And I'm there with my AI robot talking about, okay, well, the question is this, but it's like, me, it all depends on the situation. Everything depends on the situation. So there were some questions I was like, damn, this one is really tough to choose one side or the other. But I really liked it because I didn't expect these many questions. And it's like, we never ask when we're on a dating site to somebody, oh, do you clean or check your teeth regularly? We don't do that, but it says a lot about that person, and the type of how they clean their place too. But we never ask that at all. You're going to be
washing
disappointed.
Your hands after you go to the restroom. It's like, do you wash your hands? Yeah. So
when the guy answers you, well, I don't pee on my hands. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Oh my goodness. So what inspired you to create your GetDateable, and how does it differ completely from traditional online dating fiascos that we can say?
Yeah. So the thing that inspired me was just seeing so many people in pain about this issue. And even, on the daily, I'm talking to people just out in the world, and people will just unload about their stories and about how awful it is and how they're lonely. I think the loneliness started during COVID, because people were pretty isolated. But I think even pre-COVID, we were moving to a place where we were interacting a lot online and not so much in person. Our brains evolved to interact with people in 3D.
Mhm.
So think about it, before the age of computers, the only way we talked to people was in person. And so our brains evolved to be satisfied with that. And what happens when you're only interacting on a screen or in writing, even less so, our brain is trying to find some satisfaction that it's never getting. And so I think that loneliness left people really feeling sad. And there's been kind of an epidemic of anxiety and depression. And what really struck me was that the people I see they're awesome people. They're
Yeah.
smart, they're successful, they make a lot of money, they have good jobs, and they're still not able to find a satisfying dating partner. And I was like, something's not right here. And I think a part of it is that people need some education about what's important, like for themselves and what's important in finding a partner. And the thing that we're doing differently at GetDateable is we're really focusing on you becoming your best self. Because if you're the best self you can be, you're going to attract the partner that's right for you.
Mhm.
If you're inauthentic or you're pretending to be somebody else, you're going to attract someone who wants that pretend person. And when they find out who you really are, they're going to be really pissed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the idea is if you work on yourself and you shore up all those things that you learned about in the assessment, then you're going to attract somebody that's awesome.
When we're in the site, does it work like typical other sites? I know it's not. There's no swiping of pictures, so that's good. How does it prioritize like a real connections over the superficial algorithms of the swiping left, right?
Yep. So when I conceptualized the program, my idea was that it was going to be sort of a matchmaking thing. And my idea was that all of that was going to happen in person, that there was going to be no swiping. We've hosted a ton of events this past year. We've brought people together in real life. We ran 3 cohorts of singles through this program. And what I realized with that is that my idea was to have it in Austin, where I'm located, and then to replicate it in other cities as we got bigger. What I realized is the numbers of people that I have to have in order to do that matchmaking component were a bigger scope than I have the bandwidth for. And so we're now focusing on coaching and education, and we're doing that stuff online.
So there's a coach in between you and the person you're gonna date.
No, there's a coaching between me and my clients. And
Okay.
then I'm teaching my clients how to go out and find people either in real life or on dating sites, but how to find more appropriate matches.
Okay. Can you walk us through how GetDateable works, for somebody that's looking for love? How do you guys approach that?
Yeah, so the first step would be taking the assessment, which was the thing that you did, and learning what things you need to work on. So for you, there weren't any glaring things. There were I don't know, I can look back at it, but there were a couple of things like, yeah, maybe you need to keep your place a little cleaner or whatever. I don't remember
Yeah.
specifically. And so you learn those things. And then what happens is you participate in a community with other people. So for example, you might be in a group of other men, or you might be in a mixed group with men and women, but those aren't your potential dating partners. Those are the people that are going to support you on your dating journey. So
Okay.
what would happen is you'd say, hey, I met this woman last night at a bar. She seems great. Here's what happened between the interaction. I think I want to ask her out for this weekend. What do you guys think? And so you sort of get feedback about who she is, about your behavior, about her behavior, if there are any red flags. And you have support and help in moving forward with that.
Uh, how do we become a coach for GetDateable?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well,
Well,
because
right
I was
now,
like, I can't be a student. I got to be a coach.
I like it. When I'm ready to hire somebody, I'll put you on my list.
Goddamn right. um, what is the most surprising feedback and success story that you have received so far with GetDateable?
The most surprising thing was how much people enjoyed the interactions with each other, like with other single people, because the pressure was off. They weren't trying to meet a date there. So I'll give you an example of something that really surprised me. In one of the groups, we had a woman was talking about her process for meeting guys online. And she said, yeah, I would DM them in the apps, and then I would want to meet them for a coffee or a drink before I gave them my number. And one of the guys in the group was like, oh, that's way too high maintenance. I would never date someone who is that high maintenance. And then she told a story about how she had given someone her number, and then he turned out to be a stalker. And she ended up like having to change her phone number. It was this whole ordeal. And the guy was like, oh, I never realized there would be a reason why someone wouldn't give me their phone number right away. And so it was just this aha moment where she realized that she was probably coming across as really high maintenance because she wasn't explaining herself. And he realized that there was a deeper explanation rather than her just being high maintenance. So they learned something from each other, even though they weren't potential dates for each other.
Well, for sure, I don't think he dated a lot in life because most girls are not gonna give their number. Most girls I meet, it's like off these websites or Facebook straight up, and like we ain't fucking around to go get that number. No, probably maybe the Snapchat, maybe the Instagram too. But we're sticking with Messenger and directly the site. Like, and there's some that I even meet, and I still keep it on the Messenger max on Facebook. Like, I'm not gonna push this number there because most girls are not gonna give it, so might as well not ask it. But yeah, some guys get surprised right there. Did you get any challenges by launching this site, or a backlash by other companies or anything?
I did not get backlash by other companies. My idea is that we would work collaboratively with other companies rather than being a competitor for them, so that, if, let's say, you were someone who wanted to be on Bumble, well, we're just teaching you how to be a better participant on Bumble. And so I think what we're doing is augmenting what the dating sites are doing rather than trying to, overshadow them in some way.
How many coaches do you have taking care of everybody in there?
Right now, we only have 2.
Okay.
So it's myself and one other coach. I actually do have a part-time person, so I guess technically we have 3.
Wow. Why do you think online dating lost its appeal for so many people nowadays?
I think it's become so gamified, and the apps themselves that it's become, like you're trying to see how many swipes you get or how many connections you get. And that rather than, I think the apps have sort of admitted this, that their goal isn't necessarily helping you find a partner, because then they lose you as a customer. And so what they want to do is keep you swiping and keep you paying. And so it's become like a game. And I think also, have you ever heard of the book or read the book called Dopamine Nation?
No.
It's a really interesting book. It's written by a medical doctor. And her theory is that all these things in our lives give us a dopamine hit. And I see that happening with the apps. Like, people can't wait to just get on and start swiping. And I think people have just lost sight. They're not even really looking for a partner anymore. They're looking for the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And so I just think at the end of the day, they're not that satisfying.
Yeah, I know a lot of girls I know, they get a lot of matches, but they just want a validation of guys just writing to them, hey, you're gorgeous. Oh, I can go on this date, or that one. She won't go. She's just taking this dopamine hit by just opening the app, seeing the matches, seeing how her validation. It's literally a drug, that validation.
Oh, and I just thought of something else that speaks to 2 of your questions that you had about one of the most surprising things, and one about ghosting. I have had 2 different married men in my office telling me that they're on the apps, not because they want to meet someone, but because it gives them that little rush. And so what will happen is they'll like meet someone online and they'll start conversing with her. And then when she wants to meet them in person, they disappear because they're married and they're not actually looking for someone. And so that was so surprising to me. And I think it's one reason why people ghost.
Wow. And what was the other thing you wanted to say? You had 2, you said.
Oh, that it addressed 2 of your questions.
Okay, yeah.
People ghost and surprising thing. Well, and on the flip side of that, I've had women tell me that one of the reasons that they go on dates is because they expect the guy to pay for the date. And they'll say, yeah, I would have gone on half the dates I went on last year if I knew I had to pay for myself. Like, I knew I didn't like this guy. I just wanted to get a nice dinner out of it.
Yeah.
Which,
that sucks. But a lot of girls go on that date just for the experience. I got free mail. Oh, he's bringing me in a hot balloon. Oh, he's flying me to Miami. It's like, okay, but if you don't have no intentions of fucking the dude, it would be nice for you to tell him in advance, but they don't, because they're like, oh, I'm gonna get this experience, and then when she's over there, she gets canceled her flight to go back, and then she wonders why that happened. Because I see that happen constantly, and these girls are on TikTok like being like, oh, he didn't tell me that he wanted sex. It's like, what do you expect? He's flying you out like a $900 ticket first class. Like, what are you thinking? But she knew, she knew what she was getting into. But she's not gonna tell that guy, because that guy's gonna cancel that date.
Well, I think that that's wrong on both sides, because
Absolutely.
I think it's wrong for the woman to expect the guy to pay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's wrong for the guy to expect that there's going to be sex attached to it. It's like, why doesn't everybody just pay their own way and we see if we like each other?
Well, a lot of girls admit that if the guy don't offer or pay on the first date, well, they'll never see him again.
Yep.
So
I hear that so often, and I'm always shocked, especially when women who are feminists say this, because there's inequality already in that. If you're expecting someone else to pay your way for something, you've given up your power. So
absolutely. And for guys like expecting sex, it's because a guy gets a date, wants a date with you, not to play Scrabble, not to get to know you. The only main goal for most of them is to fuck. So if that's not on the table, like ask a guy if he goes on a date with somebody he's not attracted to sexually, and the answer is no.
Yeah.
So but girls is yes, often, because of that experience. So it's literally both of them lying of what they're trying to get to it for,
what their real goals are.
Of the other. How do you no, go ahead.
I was going to say, you often see attractive women with unattractive men, but you rarely see attractive men with unattractive women. And I think that's because women are willing to look at things besides looks.
Because
that's not the only important thing.
Because a guy, to become attractive to a girl, you need to be high up in a lot of boxes to become attractive. But for guys, I realized that the beauty of a girl is between 30% to 70% of the whole thing, depending on the dude. So if you don't have the attractiveness, well, out of nowhere, you fall low compared to others. When a guy, he could be ugly as fuck, but you win the lottery, and out of nowhere tomorrow, you're getting incredible girls at your feet. Because I realize that money doesn't replace everything, but it fills the boxes that you couldn't fill initially. It's like, if you're 5'5", well, I hope you're a comedian, and I hope you're making it, because that's gonna fill the boxes of that 6 feet you don't need anymore, because you got a good skill. You need to replace it with something.
Yeah, or if you've got swagger, if you've got that big dick energy, then you're going to attract people, even if you're 5'5". Yeah.
How do you envision the future of dating for singles who want to avoid these traditional apps?
I think people are going to have to redevelop their social skills, because people are scared to interact with people in real life now.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have to just rip off the Band-Aid and get back out there and start meeting people in real life. I think people want it, and they're scared of it.
I realize that, like, most people, even if they're attracted to you or they find you're quite nice in person, if you're not already on their cell phone, well, they don't really care about you. Like, you're not in their circle. So it's really fucked up. Like, seeing girls that are attracted to me in the street, and they're not gonna answer or talk to me when I pass. I'm like, I know she's attractive, but she won't say shit. Okay. It's fucking stupid. Oh my
But
goodness.
I think there's a reason for that too, that for so long men behaved badly with women, as far as like being sexually inappropriate or catcalling or whatever the things guys did. And now the pendulum has swung the other way, and I think guys have become afraid. And I don't think it's where it's going to stay. I think things are going to eventually come back to the middle. But I have a son, an adult son who's single, who's about your age, and he's a shy person, and he feels scared of. He's super attractive. He's successful. He's a great guy, and he feels anxious about interacting with women because he's afraid they're going to think he's being creepy. Wow. So, you know, whereas he wouldn't just walk up to someone in a bar and be like, "Hey, I love that sweater," because he's like, what if she looks at me and says, "Ooh, creep, why are you talking to me?" And so I think guys have become kind of afraid of being perceived as inappropriate.
Yeah, most guys are afraid. And when I ask some of my friends that are having trouble getting dates, I'm like, how many girls are you talking to at once? They're like, one. I'm like, that's your main problem right there, bro. It's like, it's the law of numbers. It's like, you're not fishing on a boat. You're fishing on ice fishing. Okay. So fucking put some lines in that water, bro. Put some lines in it, because it's the law of numbers. And most girls are not going to find you guys attractive. So you need to write to a lot of girls. As the problem is, most guys are going to write to one because he's a genuine and nice dude. Well, at a certain point, maybe you're going to realize it, but you're going to waste your time with this person for like maybe a month and a half, and realizing at the end, oh, she's probably never going to meet me. Then you just wasted a month and a half of just aiming this person. Talk to multiple people and see who really wants to meet you. Because if you're only talking to one at a time, there's some people and some girls that are going to keep you there for a long time for experience, conversation, dopamine, something. It's incredible. So I would tell all these guys, man, keep getting back on that horse, keep writing, keep talking. I answer girls that I'm not even attracted to, that I never want to meet. And I answer them, and I'm polite the whole time, and I never ghost nobody, no conversation in these dating sites, because there's something to learn about anything. A lot of these girls that I didn't meet because we didn't click on that level. Well, now they watch the podcast, people, and they listen to my music. So I got them somewhere. So it's like, if I'm not gonna get her in my bed because she's not my type, it's all good. She's maybe attracted to Rumbling Facts podcast, people.
Yeah.
So you throw her something else.
Yeah. Or, I mean, let me just make a slight shift in what you're saying. You're saying that you have something to offer them, even if that's not partnership. Mm-hmm. That you have a podcast that's really cool that they could gain something from, or you have music that they might enjoy listening to. So rather than looking at what you're getting from them, I think it's also helpful to look at like, oh, here's something I have to offer.
Mm-hmm. And I don't lie, but I'm not gonna be mean either. So if the girl's really not attracted to me because she's overweight or something like that, I won't just tell her like, "Bang, you're fat. That's why I don't like you." But let's say she's like, "Oh, are we gonna meet one day, or do you see me like that?" That's the worst question for me because I'll answer it. So out of nowhere, I need to wrap it up. How I'm gonna send this without being mean, and I'm like. Yeah. So I always tell them, I'm like, you got to understand that the BMI is overweight is literally 30 pounds over, and you're considered obese. So technically, then you go back, you're probably obese. Not to be mean, but you're like, for me, the girl needs to weigh under the weight that I have, and then she's over. But I never judge nobody.
Weigh less than you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The girl needs to weigh less than me, or else for me, it's not working.
So what I would say, though, is that telling someone, if someone's overweight, they already know. That's you're not telling them something new, and there's no need to say something mean. So kind of like you're saying, you could just say, "Hey, I don't think we're a fit for each other," or that I don't feel physically attracted to you.
I'm telling you, OCD. There, you got trouble just being. Oh my God, like not saying the exact truth. For me, it's chaos in my mind not saying the truth. So it's very hard to not tell the person. Like, I'm not mean how I say it, but a lot of people are not used to somebody being dishonest. I'm telling you, I cock block myself inserted conversation. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm honest, so take it or leave it.
Yeah. So what I would say, I often advocate for what I call the shit sandwich. That you sandwich the shitty thing in between two true but nice things. So you say, "Hey, it's been really great to meet you. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I don't feel a physical attraction with you. I wish you the best, and I'd love for you to listen to my podcast.
I think I could deal with that.
Yeah. So
Hopefully
you don't
she
have to
doesn't.
say, I'm not attracted to you because I think you're fat,
Mhm.
which that's like a mean-spirited thing to say.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no need to say that.
True
Yeah.
that. I think I can work with that. My mind's gonna be good with it.
Mhm.
And with the over 25 years of experience in therapy, what was the most surprising lesson you've learned about human relationships?
Gosh, the most surprising thing I've learned about human relationships. Hmm. I don't know if this is the most surprising, but I think that people have a need for human connection with each other. And when we're disconnected, it affects our mental health. And so when people get lonely and when people get isolated, I think it makes us start to have mental health issues. And I think that's a big reason why we're seeing so many people that are anxious and depressed, because we're not living in community anymore. We're isolated in our own houses, talking to people on a screen, or, we pump our gas and swipe at the pump. We get our groceries delivered to us. We don't actually have to interact with other humans. And so I think the most surprising thing is that really has ripple effects, and it really impacts all areas of our life when we're not in connection with other people.
Mm-hmm. Uh, um, Now we're such in a world of like swipe left and right, and I had lost hope like in this love there for like this one person that would fucking light me up, and because we live on is this photo good or not? And at a certain point, I went to see an old friend of mine, and I saw her Kolak, and I was like, oh my god, this girl is beautiful, and it clicked with me and her like inhuman like, and I'm telling you, I had swore in my head that I was done with it. I was done with it. I gave up, and now she was giving me hope. I was like, damn, this human, real connection. So I gave it a shot, and I got screwed over in the end because she went back to a guy that cheated on her, and I was like, it's incredible. You want to give the shot, and each time you get screwed. So I can't even imagine the average Joe or the guy that's like at home at his parents' place basement. Man, these people are rushing their life. How do the LGBTQ issues or dynamics differ in relationships, and what unique challenges do they face that most people that are not in there don't understand?
Yeah, great question. So one of the positives I would say is the issue that I brought up earlier about who's going to pay for the date. If you're in a same-sex relationship, there's no gender stereotype, so there's no expectation of the other person's going to pay for this because we're both women or we're both dudes, and so those kinds of things go out the window. And so that's kind of nice that there's
Yeah.
not these preconceived roles. I think that for gay men, things are harder because, no pun intended, that things are harder because it's such a sexualized culture.
Yeah,
That,
that's what I was gonna say too.
such a hookup culture. And
Yep.
so I do have quite a few clients that are gay men that really want a partnership. They really want to meet someone and have a long-term relationship, but it's hard to find that because, guys are focused on hooking up and having sex.
Yeah. The first time I realized that, my uncle is gay, and I lived with him for like 6 months to a year, and I was seeing like nice dudes appearing in my place all the time, like fuck it, and he don't look that great, and it was just one after another, and I was like, man, I get as many girls, but this is ridiculous. And when he showed me the conversations, I was shocked. Because guys need to lie, and let's say the girl's like, I hope you don't expect sex on the first day. Well, you gotta lie right there out of nowhere. But these guys ain't fucking around because the guy's not gonna lie to the other guy. So literally, I swear to God, they're like, hey, are you bottom or top? The guy answers, and then he's like, age, sex, location, bang, okay, yes, we're good on that, and then address. And I don't know, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Know what you're doing in your life. Know if you have a girlfriend. They don't care. We both know our mind. We're sexual deviants, so might as well not kid each other right here. So I realized that these guys ain't fucking around. It's literally they're being honest with one another, but it comes to a cost. It comes to those guys that really want a real relationship. Well, they're having to comb through this sex world of gay people. Are lesbians that much similar or very different towards how they start the conversation of somebody new there?
Yeah, I would say very different than gay men, typically. Yeah. Lesbians are much more interested in, I mean, and I'm stereotyping. Of course, there are some lesbians that just
but the masses.
Yeah, but I would say lesbians are much more interested in getting to know someone and having a relationship rather than just a sexual hookup. I mean, Grindr, you know that site called Grindr?
Yeah, that's the site my uncle was on.
Yeah, and so that would never fly in the lesbian world. Like, women aren't just going to go to someone's house just to hook up. I mean, that there might be 10 people, but not that many. So yeah, I would say it's very different in the world of women.
Can you share some tips helping communicate? Because you said that communication is the problem with most relationships. Do you have some tips to help couples be able to communicate with the other?
Sure. So there's a couples researcher named John Gottman, and he is kind of considered the guru of couples therapy. He's done a ton of research, and he's got a lot of books and a lot of papers written about this subject, but his research kind of boils down to two things, and that is kindness and generosity. And that couples who employ those two things in their communication with each other are the couples that tend to last for the long haul. And that doesn't mean that you never get pissed off at your partner, but it means instead of, calling them a name or belittling them when you're mad, you say, hey, I feel really fucking pissed off at you right now. So you're communicating directly, but you're not being unkind to them. You're not saying you're an idiot or, name calling or things like that. And so I think if you practice kindness and generosity in your communication, and also being direct and self-responsible. So I could tell you all the things you did wrong, or I could say, man, I felt really disappointed that you were late for our date.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking responsibility for myself rather than criticizing you. So I think using kindness and being self-responsible and talking about your own feelings are two really big pieces of communication.
And a lot of guys I realize that are in a relationship, like they don't do the little things. The little things are people. The crumb at the bottom of the toaster are important. Literally, just telling her you love her when you pass beside her once in a while. Just those little things are. My grandfather decked me so much when I was a kid. He was like, "Oh, did you tell grandma that the food was good?" Yeah, well, I did while we were eating. Go tell her again that you appreciate it. Like fucking those little things. People opening the door to that girl. All these little things there. Man, you need to keep the spice up in that relationship forever. It's like the construction of yourself. It's never going to stop. Well, same thing in that relationship. Your job, without being a job, because you're supposed to want to do it, is putting a smile on that person's face. Understanding that she is being understood by what she says towards you, or else she's going to just keep it to herself or then talk to her friends about it. And that's the worst shit ever, because you need to be in that bubble of honesty with that person in a relationship. But often they don't want to, so they're just going to talk to their friends about it. Well, you're not going to talk about your friends the night that he blew you off your feet. You're not going to talk about this amazing night, the connection. No. You're just going to talk about those little negatives. So at a certain point, these people are just going to give you advice to fucking leave. So that's why being honest is important.
Yeah, being honest and being kind. Like you said, remembering to keep saying the positive things, because if you're doing that from a place of like genuineness, it makes your life better. Like you're making your partner's life better, but your life's better too, because now you got a happy partner.
Damn right. And she's more willing to have sex with you if you treat her well. Because right when respect gets out the door, well, most girls are not gonna have sex with a guy she doesn't respect, no matter if it's the first date or in a relationship. So if you start disrespecting her, treating her bad, well, don't expect for her to cuddle you after, bro. You fucking scrapped it. So
yeah, she's not going to be attracted to you. There's like a stereotypical saying, but it's that nature played a cruel joke on us, and that women need to feel connected before they want to have sex. and men want to have sex in order to feel connected.
Yep.
And so it's like keeping that in mind, that if you're going to not treat your partner well, then she's not going to feel connected to you, and then she's going to be less likely to want to have sex.
Let's say we have a feeling that maybe she's has one foot out the door. Well, right then and there in our heart, we just want her to show sex, like towards us, to recomfort ourselves about this relationship. And the girl is the complete opposite. Just like you said, she's going to want to talk about it. What inspired you to pursue a doctorate in clinical sexology, and how has it shaped your work as a therapist?
Yeah, so I was doing quite a bit of couples work in my practice, and couples were coming in and asking me questions about sexuality. And I didn't really know that much about it. And so I thought, oh, I should get some training. We have to get continuing education every year. So I started looking for trainings about sexuality, and there weren't any out there. And so I just wanted to go for like a weekend conference and learn more. And there was nothing. So I ended up really kind of looking at my options and thinking, it wasn't so much that I felt like I needed to have those letters behind my name, or I wanted a PhD specifically, but it was the best way for me to get the knowledge about sexuality. So it was really, really interesting. I mean, it was, if you can imagine sitting for, in class for a year and a half and learning about every aspect of sexuality. So that was really fun.
Yeah, it's not like the sex ed in high school there.
No, it goes a lot deeper than that. And so I would say for a couple of years after I finished my dog program, my practice was it was focused very much on sexuality. And then it stopped grabbing my attention in the same way, because people have the same sexual problems over and over. Yeah. Guys have erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation, and women have low sex drive. And it's like, it was fine. But so what I would say is that that's a part of my practice still, because I still have that training, but it's not the forefront. So now relationships and communication are really the forefront of my practice.
Absolutely. Because communication is the key to success in every relationship, people.
Including sexuality. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What motivated you to start and grow a completely new business, GetDateable, finally at 57? Like out of nowhere, like you're not like, it's maybe too late for me with those crazy ideas, because there's thousands of website of dating. Why were you like, fuck it? What motivated you to be like, I'm gonna go against the grain and those big dogs?
Yeah, it was.
You said that you worked with them there, but at the same time, you're taking your part in the dating world.
Yeah, it was really this idea of wanting to help people, seeing that this is such a need, and that nobody was really addressing it in exactly this way. They're just, giving them more profiles to swipe on. And it was like, people are kind of throwing this online dating thing at folks, but it's not actually helping them find relationships or get out of pain. So it was really that kind of motivation of, I love these people and I really want to help them. So that's what prompted me to do it.
What are some red flags that you see that people do on their profile that you're like, oh boy, you think this is good, this is a no good? And one in particular that girls do, and I don't understand why they do this. For work, sometimes they put, I don't work, I'm a princess. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. Right away, the guy like thinks that you're full of yourself. There's nothing attractive in somebody that thinks they're full of themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. And men and women both do that in different ways. I would say the biggest thing, and we already addressed this in a different way, but people are not authentic. People will put a photo of themselves from 20 years ago or 30 pounds ago.
Yeah.
Do you think, what's going to happen when you meet this person in real life? They're going to see that that's not you anymore. So what I would say is poll your friends and say, here's 10 pictures of me. Which are the 3 that you think are the very best ones? Your friends will be honest with you, and put a picture that looks like you, like the best version of you, but it's still going to look like you. Because when you show up at the bar, that guy's going to see you and realize, men and women both do that. The other thing that I used to think was a joke, but it's not, is dudes put fish pictures. What is that? Look,
girls put pictures with dudes.
Yeah, that's true, but it could be like their brother or whatever. But
but we don't think that.
Guys put a picture of themselves with a fish, and it's like,
incredible.
What are you thinking, dude? Don't do that. So I would say being inauthentic is the biggest mistake people make, because guess what? Whether it's on the first date or 6 dates in, they're going to know the real you, and they're going to know that that was all bullshit. So just tell them up front. You're looking for
Mm-hmm.
goodness of fit. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for someone who's a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't putting a real picture of yourself, or you're not telling them your real job or whatever, they're going to find out.
You know what? When their picture is not even HD and we're in a world of 4K, you're like, I think this is 1980 or
This was
90,
from
bro.
the 90s. Yeah. Exactly.
How did you grow your therapy practice to over 200,000 while working only 3 days a week? How did you manage that?
Yeah, I'm so curious about where you got that statistic. Do I have that on something?
I don't know. Do some research.
You did a deep dive. So my therapy practice, which this has been an interesting shift with GetDateable, my therapy practice has grown completely organically. I have literally never bought an ad. I've never marketed myself in any way. Every single client I have in my therapy practice has come from a referral from someone else, most of them from another client, but also like from my family doctor refers people to me, or
so word to mouth, literally.
Word of mouth has been 100% of my therapy practice.
Wow.
And as a result, if I have a client I like and they refer someone they know to me, I'm probably going to like that person too. And so I feel so lucky, because I have a practice full of really awesome people that I really, really like, people that I would be friends with if they weren't my therapy clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fun. So I get to go all day and talk to smart, interesting people. And that's just been amazing. So how it feels I know it didn't happen exactly like this, but how it feels with my therapy practice is that I opened the doors and people came. And GetDateable requires a little bit more marketing, which is not my strong suit. I like the conceptualizing the offer, and I like delivering the offer. But what I would prefer is that I just open the doors and everyone shows up. And that's not exactly how this works. So
but I think you said luck. I don't like that word at all. And why not luck? It's because you're genuine and you're a smart person that's not gonna judge in advance. I met therapists before, and I can read body language like quite well. And most of them right when I see that judging face, well, I'm not gonna come back again. Yeah. It's fucking stupid. Like when I tell like a male therapist like my sexual encounters. Well, if it's a dude, well, he thinks that I'm inflating no matter what I'm saying, because most guys had 13 girls in their whole life at 99 years old. And when I say it to a girl, well, she thinks right away you're disgusting. The look on their face. So having a therapist that has like no judgment and is down to earth and like smart and like doesn't go with the book script like to the highest degree, well, she's not gonna think you're a psychopath right away. So I think your genuineness grew you that much. I think so. It's not luck; it's your skill.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I got 3 more, if that's okay.
Yeah, you bet. Let's go.
Okay. What challenges did you face as a therapist transitioning to entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is the challenge that I just told you about, that when I came up with this idea, I like lived and breathed this idea for 6 months, probably just like writing things and planning it out and how it was going to go. And I had so much fun with it. And fast forward to getting the cohorts in and working with people and running the groups and connecting people and doing these singles events, I had so much fun doing it. The part that I don't find as fun is, I know that it's not exactly like this, but this idea of like talking people into signing up. I mean, it's not really what I do, but I just want to be like a waiter at a cocktail party, like, hey, look, I've got this great hors d'oeuvre. Would you like one? And I want everyone to say like, yes, please sign me up. And so that part was a little surprising. And it's the thing I'm still trying to figure out, because I'm not a salesy, like sales isn't my jam and marketing's not my jam. I don't really like social media that much. And I'm not even on it personally that much. And so those are things that I know I have to be better at in order to make this business a success. Or I'm assuming I have to be better at those things. So anyway, I think that's a big shift from, into entrepreneurship, is like, oh, sales and marketing is a big part of this. And I just want to hire someone else to do that.
What did your friends think about when you started to talk about this idea of GetDateable? Were they like supportive, or that they were like, what are you thinking? Like, you're going against Tinder and all this?
Yeah, almost 100% of people that I have told about this idea thought it was an amazing idea. My next door neighbor is a young guy, like about your age, and he is a serial entrepreneur. He's an investor. And when I told him about it, he asked me 100 questions, and he said, I'm not trying to be a skeptic, but I am seeing if there are holes that I can poke in this idea. And after we had talked for about an hour, he said, I think it's a fantastic idea. So almost everyone's been just 100%. Yes, this is great.
Nice.
So yeah, that's been fun.
How do you balance your roles as therapist, entrepreneur, and relationship expert while maintaining your own personal relationships?
Yeah, there was a period of time where I wasn't feeling super balanced about that, because I was keeping my therapy practice going at the same rate that I always had, and I was putting all my time into developing GetDateable. And so there was probably a 6-month period where I really wasn't very social, and people were inviting me to do things or inviting me to go on trips. And I was like, nope. And I realized quickly that's not sustainable, because I need human connection as well. So, but once the development was done, then I was, able to get back in balance. But yeah.
What advice do you have for someone considering launching a passion project later in their life, like you?
I would say absolutely do it. I think it's the thing that keeps people young, right? You got to keep your brain sharp, and you got to keep learning new things. And GetDateable got accepted into this business incubator program at the University of Texas at Macomb School of Business. And so I've been going to class on campus at UT one day a week, and it's like so fun. It's like returning to my 20s. I'm at the business school with my little backpack, and it's, I love the idea of continuing to learn and grow. So I would encourage anyone else to keep doing that.
I want to thank you for coming on. And where can everybody find you, and your socials or your website, and GetDateable?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been really fun talking to you. So GetDateable's Instagram is just at GetDateable, and dateable is the word date and the word able, because sometimes people don't put the E in the middle, like they don't put the E on the end of the word date. So at GetDateable. And my therapy practice Instagram is at Dr. Sarah Kyle. My the GetDateable website is just getdateable.com, and my therapy practice website is sarahkyle.com.
Perfect. And what were you saying before we recorded about GetDateable? Like, where are we going technically? Because the subscription is going to change, and a couple of stuff are going to change. Can you talk about this before we leave?
Yeah, absolutely. So the format for GetDateable is going to be a twice monthly coaching program. So you have an opportunity to meet in person, not one-on-one, but meet in a group with your coach, and also to be a part of a singles community where you have access to other singles 24/7 to ask advice. And we offer a weekly dating challenge. So we'll throw something out there for you to work on, and you get to communicate with your, like keeping your apartment clean, perhaps.
Okay, well, they're like, send us the pictures. We want to see it.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, so things that people can work on so that they keep growing and they keep themselves moving forward every week, and they have some accountability for that.
Perfect. So I hope a lot of people got some advice and learned about what you do, and hopefully they're going to go check out. And doing the assessment, people, is free. It takes 7 minutes for a normal person. And like that, you maybe, if you just want to do the assessment and leave, well, fucking do it. At least you'll know you'll know your fucking problems, people. So thanks again for coming on, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks so much for having me on.